degrees. And one thing that we're going to do tonight is kind of under the concept of 6 degrees of separation. Does anybody know the concept of 6 degrees of separation? Nolan, you're always good at it. What's 6 degrees of separation?
I don't know how to explain it
In your own
adequately, but is it the idea that we're all connected by every 6 people? I don't know.
Yes, there's a Kevin Bacon game out there that everybody can get to Kevin Bacon. Also the idea that any person in the world is connected through 6 layers of connections or separation, right? So let's do this. Let's somebody throw out a scholar. Throw out somebody you would love to be connected with.
Morgan Freeman.
Who?
Morgan
Freeman. Who knows somebody who knows or can get to Morgan Freeman?
My sister used to work for him.
That was 2 easy. That was 2. Okay, that's good. You always want to start low and move high. Now let's go higher. How about, let's go one more. Scholar, throw out somebody you want to be connected.
Bezos.
Who?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Ooh, good one. There we go. Joel?
My buddy Ray's sister was engaged to him, but she loved him.
I love that story.
Before it all happened.
Yes, sir. Love that story. All right. I've played this game many times before, and I think you kind of get the ideas. You can be connected. Now, let's say you want to get to Jeff Bezos. You might not ever get a meeting with him, but of course you can probably get somebody to maybe give you an opportunity to get to meet somebody like Jeff Bezos, right? So one of the things we're going to do tonight is kind of under the idea of 6 degrees of separation. We're going to kind of force the networking a little bit. In other words, we're going to put a scholar with 1 or 2 adults, okay? We call you guys friends of ES or adults. And we're going to put you together so that you guys can talk. And so hopefully what becomes out of that is a little bit of 6 degrees of separation. So if you're in education and you're looking for an internship or some idea, you might not be matched up with as an educator, but of course through 6 degrees of separation, you might find a connection that can really help you. So that's one thing that we're going to be doing tonight. But we're also going to be thinking about the skills that it takes to network, okay? And so I know I'm looking around the room, we have a bunch of scholars here. A lot of you guys are excellent at talking and networking, and some of you guys are not so much. You're a little sheepish. And I'll share one quick story is that somebody came here tonight, a scholar, and said, I almost didn't want to come because it's kind of painful to talk to somebody. I'm kind of paraphrasing, right? And then I said to this person, that's why you do come. And then this person, I'm trying to keep it as anonymous as possible, said, yeah, that's why I ended up coming, okay? And I think, yeah, that's right. And I think that is kind of the idea, right? Is that when we go through, it's so easy to say just network. So tonight, we're also going to be working a little bit on our networking skills, because when you do get that meeting, maybe not with Jeff Bezos, but with somebody, whether that's for a college interview, although you guys are all now on the way to college, or internship, or first entry-level job, you think a little bit about how you present yourself. So we're kind of forcing a little bit tonight, but we're also forcing the idea of like, hopefully some things you think about and learn tonight aren't just tangible opportunities, which you might get, but things to think about in every situation when you're talking to somebody. I think I'm a decent networker. I know that I've leveraged a lot of relationships, but I am calling upon somebody I'm about to introduce, John Godoy, who I was introduced to because he's a professional presenter of networking skills. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and he can explain a little bit about who he is and what he does.
Where you are today and where you are 10 years from now depends on 2 things. The books you read and the people that you meet. I graduated college in 1998 with a degree in economics. And when I graduated, I knew 2 things. I needed to get a job right away to pay off some of those bills. And number 2, I was looking for a job in a field related to what I had studied at school. And so I went to a lot of interviews and eventually settled on getting a job at a local bank. And back then I really believed in one thing. I knew that you would get a job, that job hopefully would turn into a career. And once it became a career, you could focus on leading the rest of your life. And that was my life. It was very linear, it was very straightforward. That's how I thought our lives progressed. However, one day, by sheer chance, a serendipitous encounter at a networking event, I met a man, an American businessman, Japanese American, who changed my life. He was about 5'4", black hair, he's a little stocky, spectacles. He was about 40 years older than I was at the time. He had spent about 20 years on Wall Street, and then he left Wall Street, and he started 3 to 4 successful businesses. He had built them from the ground up and sold them. For all intents and purposes, he was the complete opposite person than I was. He looked at the world a little bit differently than I did. He worked a lot differently than I would. Imagine that I was a straight linear thinker. His was more of a zigzag. We were very different. However, over the course of several years, we got to know each other very, very well. And I learned a lot of things from this man, wisdom from his experiences through our conversations. Eventually, we became friends, and we went on to a whole bunch of different endeavors together. With that relationship, I found myself working at a baseball academy in the Dominican Republic, working on projects in factories in China, inventing a product in a garage, crowdfunding it, bringing it to market. Things that my linear mind would never ever have possibly imagined. I never would have gone in that direction had I never had the chance encounter that was. Now, each and every one of you in this room may have already met someone who has changed the course of your life or changed how you think, but I guarantee you over the course of your lives, you'll meet many people like that. And what networking is, it is the vehicle that creates those chance encounters. It is the vehicle by which you make those connections that can change the way you think, that can change your whole life, that can give you a career in something that you never would have anticipated, or create a connection in a direction that you want to go. The key is to become a networker. And also another benefit of networking is that although you may meet somebody who may not change your life, they will definitely enhance your life. And that person becomes part of your network. And when they're part of your network, for the rest of your life, they're going to be somebody you can lean on and you can look to help, and vice versa. And that is power. That is an asset. So the question is, well, how do you become a good networker? Because there are some people who are inherently really, really good at it, but a lot of people have to really work at it. And what it is a series of specific tactics and strategies that you can apply every day diligently, and you'll get better at it. In that handout, we've listed out 10 different ways you can do it, but because of time, we're only going to focus on 3 today. And the top 3 that I'm going to share with you are fundamentally the 3 most important tactics to develop. And they are, what was the first one again? Identify, then initiate, and then engage. Very easy to remember, the rule of 3. Identify, initiate, engage. And identify is very, very straightforward. You go into a social situation, maybe it's a party, it's a networking event, something like this. You look around the room and you look at somebody who's demonstrating a bit of an open posture, and you look at them and you look to approach them. Networking is very similar to working out. You want to start up with a warm-up. And the easiest warm-up you can do is to approach a person who is standing by themselves. And that's identify. The second tactic, or the second strategy, is fundamentally the most important. It is called initiate. Initiate. And that means taking the initiative to approach them. And you don't just go up to them and go say, hey, my name is Steve. What's yours? A little bit more professional, a little bit more powerful is you identify who they are. You start walking towards them. As you're walking towards them, make sure you have a smile on your face. Not a crazy looking one, because they'll turn the other way. A smile on your face, and you're slowly extending your hand as though you're going to give a handshake. You make contact with their hand, give a firm handshake, and introduce yourself by saying your first and last name. But make a clear distinction between your first and last name. And don't just slur it all at once. Where someone will go, hi, my name is Jean Godoy. Nice to meet you. My name is John Godoy. Very clear, very powerful, so they can remember it and enunciate. It becomes very, very powerful. And then after you say that, add a small pleasantry. It's a pleasure to meet you. And so far we've covered identify and initiate. This leads to the third aspect, which is engage. And engage means engage in conversation through open-ended questions. Through open-ended questions. So don't ask them, what do you do? Why are you here? They're very simple answers that can be easily answered with one answer, and that ends the conversation. It doesn't allow you to come up with more questions or follow-up questions. Ask open-ended questions such as, what brings you to this event? How do you know the host? Things that they can answer in a much more longer way and gives you more conversation topic to go forward. Very simple, 3 tactics. Identify, initiate, engage. Say it with me. Identify, initiate, engage. So these are all great. I'll be very honest with you, and I'm sharing this story with a few of you. I am inherently one of the 50% of the population who considers themselves shy and an absolute introvert. I really despise networking. I always did. When I was in college, in the beginning of my career, I hated networking. But I realized it was a very, very powerful tool that could change my life. And short of going to improv to learn to get over myself and going to Toastmasters to learn how to talk, I had to learn how to communicate. But sometimes the simplest thing to do is to change how you think. So for those of you who dislike networking or who need a kind of a mental shift to change how you look at it, I challenge you to look at networking like this. I want you to imagine looking at it like it's a treasure hunt. It's a treasure hunt. And inside the mind of every single person in any situation, in any room that you go into, there's a nugget of information. And that nugget of information could be a piece of wisdom. It could be a connection that they have, perhaps a connection to Morgan Freeman. Who knows, whatever that is. And your goal of the evening is to find that nugget of information. And the only way you're going to do that is to identify someone to walk up to, take the initiative to go up there, and then start asking them questions through engagement. And at the end of the night, you'll walk away with one very powerful thing. Even if you don't walk out of there with the one thing that you're looking for, you'll walk away with one nugget of information that can completely change your life or how you think.
You guys, what's one thing that you noticed that you worked on today? Number 5? Read the bold part. Not the whole thing, just the bold part.
Dress to impress and communicate.
Excellent. Dress to impress. Never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? Hopefully you guys knew that before you came in. Yeah, Nolan.
Number 6,
Which is?
repeat the person's name during your conversation.
Thank you, Nolan Robinson. That was great. See what I did that? Great. How about one more? I gotta say, I'm gonna pick up on 6. I have a really good memory. I have a horrible audio memory. I don't know what it's technically called. I forget people. They tell me their name and I forget it right away. So I have to do that. I have to try to do that. Yeah, it's a good technique. One more. Scholar, anything?
Number eight.
What do you got there,
Listen closer
Johnson?
to what other people are saying. It's huge.
What made you say that?
I mean, because we're all sharing value, so if you just listen, you can learn something.
There you go. Okay, good. In all seriousness, that's a key one, right? It might sound obvious, but John said this before. There's such a tendency for events like this, or if you got business on your mind, you came in tonight, you're a scholar, you're thinking, I want a connection for an internship. I want to get an entry-level job. But do you see past that person, and really, did you take a minute to actually listen to them and try to get to know them? Yeah, Kira.
I think number 10 is a key one because following up is very important because if you don't, you're not utilizing your connection that you just made. So you can't make the connection necessarily. So yeah, and you never know what that person can do for you.
Great. Good last segue. I was glad someone said that. Okay, I cannot tell you guys, and those of you guys who were at the workshop last week, there were a bunch of you remember this, the importance of a thank you. So if you met somebody tonight, hopefully you got their contact information. If you didn't, it's okay to go back and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't get your card or something like that. Pens, notes. At this point, you can use your phone. We were hoping you guys didn't use your phone, but I don't think anybody did. But get that contact information, okay? And as forced as it might be for tonight, because I'm saying this out loud, it's really a fantastic technique, okay? And I can see adults in the room know this, right? Those of you guys who are in HR or hiring or just this is such an important practice. It's a thank you, okay? And I share this too, and I'll share this with everybody. I heard this a few months ago from somebody who was about 25 years old, and he started by meeting people, and he was a freshman in college, and every 6 months he'd give just a short, quick update. Hey, great to meet you, just want to let you know, made it to the circle of honor, or I'm doing this internship. Really short, didn't have to respond. In fact, he said you don't have to respond back. 4 years later, he got a full-time job with this person that he had met. Okay, now I don't know if that's the reason, but it's a great thing to think about, right? You keep people, there's a reason why you network. You don't just meet them, but you continue that conversation. So all of you guys scholars, you should be following up with people that you met tonight, okay? We talked about this too, I'll just say this out loud. Handwritten note is the best if you ever get a chance. Emails can do, but at least thank them, okay? And that's gonna be something that you're gonna wanna do. All right, fantastic, a couple things. You guys can stay around. I know we said 7, so some people might have to get out of here, but this room is ours. We have food over here. We have food. So one thing is like, oh, I wish people were there, that would have made it really awkward. But now it's kind of nice. So you can grab some food. You know, we kind of, like we said, forced the connection, so to speak, the networking tonight. Feel free to hang out, meet people, you know, adults and scholars, and talk to people. You can sit down, you can eat, you can hang out for a little bit.